How do you know when it's time for you to get away from sales? I'm Sylvan Bell. I'm coming to you live from Austin, Texas. I'm in Texas on a perfect day to talk about sales and a perfect day to talk about how you know when it's time for you to get out. And so the first thing is like, first and foremost, if you're burned out and you hate people and you're not good with people, that should just be the red flag right there. Exit out and go work at some agency where you don't have to deal with anybody, or work for a government agency where they don't care. Okay, that aside, we'll move that aside. So the first reason you should get out of sales is you can't close. Like, you don't have the capability, you're not going to ever have the capability. You're scared of objections, you're scared of rejection, and when it comes down to it, you get to the end of the sales call, you've had the training, and you haven't implemented. So, when it comes down, you can't close, you're not ever going to close. Get out, make room for somebody else. Now, I got to let you know, I am not a negative person, and I believe a lot in what people can do. When I first started in sales, I was a horrible salesperson. But I went back and I retooled and I gained all the skills that I needed to do to become a closer and make sure that I was making deals happen. Okay, so that's first and foremost. Second is no money. So, if you have no money, you've got no fuel, unless you've got a sugar mama or a sugar daddy or a trust fund or something crazy like that along those lines going on. No money signifies you should probably get a job doing something else and find a hustle. It could also mean that you're in the wrong profession. It could mean that you don't believe in the product or service that you're selling. And if that's the case, you've got to find a different job. So no money can come from a lot of different things. You don't believe in the product, you don't believe in the service, you hit a bad luck. Third, not coachable. So the way that you figure out is if you're coachable or not coachable is you take a look at the training that you've taken. How much of it have you implemented? Like, do you just go to trainings and you're a tourist and you just collect information? Well, that's not really what you need to do, right? I see salespeople do this a lot. They'll go from class to class to class and they'll collect information. Well, I got a strategy going on from a class that I took a month ago, and I'm about to implement it next week. Well, that's a little bit different than me making an excuse. I have a strategy, I have a plan, it's going to happen, it's going to go intact, it's going to go live. I just needed a couple of pieces to be in play for me to make that happen before I felt comfortable with moving forward. But a lot of times salespeople will say, well, I'm not comfortable with this, I'm not comfortable with that, so then they never do anything. So it becomes a mashup of all three. They can't close, they've got no money, and then they're not coachable. They're not ever going to be coachable. And I see this happen so often in sales where managers and business owners are like, but he's a good guy, he's got a good personality, people like him. You know what that's code for me? He doesn't like conflict. Okay, so if this is you and you're like, I'm scared of conflict, I'm scared of this happening, probably a sign for you to get out of sales. Now, once again, I'm not a negative person, but there are people who are in the world of sales who should have never gotten into sales to begin with, and they're not ever going to be good at sales, and nobody's doing them any favors by not telling them that. Okay, so sometimes you look around and you're like, is it time to get out? It could very well be, unless you can find a good coach or a good mentor and you could be coachable and you're willing to implement what you're taught. I know a guy that was recently complaining to me that he had to come to sales training meetings. He's going to make between 40 and 50 grand extra this year from going from 2 to 3 hours of sales training a week. And he was complaining, oh my goodness, and he makes good money to begin with. He makes a good amount of money to begin with. We're talking over 6 figures easy, right? So for a lot of salespeople, like 6 figures, that's good money. So I'm giving you an example. And so, he was complaining, I got to go to sales training. I'm like, oh my goodness, a company is paying you to get better. You're going to increase your income by 50 or 60 grand this year, and you're going to complain about it. And then it was just this big whole thing of excuses about how he didn't want to come to the meetings, but he's increased his income this year already by $15,000, $16,000 already into the first quarter of the year. Not even into too far into the second quarter. Just absolutely crazy. So you got one thing to do from here. Just one thing. That one thing is to find the subscribe button. It's somewhere along the sides. Click on subscribe, and then every time I send out new content, you'll get an update. And it'll say, Sylvan Bell sent out a new video. It's fantastic. You should watch it, which you should. So find that button, click subscribe. We'll see you soon. Thanks for watching. Aloha.